Pendragon, or King Arthur Pendragon, is a role-playing game in which players take the role of knights performing chivalric deeds in the tradition of Arthurian legend. It was originally written by Greg Stafford and published by Chaosium, then was acquired by Green Knight Publishing, who in turn passed on the rights to White Wolf Publishing in 2004. White Wolf sold the game to Stewart Wieck in 2009. Wieck formed Nocturnal Media, which has since updated and reissued the 5th edition originally published by White Wolf. In 1991, Pendragon won the Origins Award for Best Role-Playing Rules of 1990. In 1999, Pyramid magazine named Pendragon as one of the millennium's most underrated games. Editor Scott Herring said Pendragon is one of the few RPGs that has a moral point of view, ... and it's a great melding of game system with game world. The 5th edition won the Outie Award for Best Retread in 2006. Setting. Like several other RPGs from Chaosium, Pendragon has a literary basis, in this case the 15th-century Arthurian romance, La Morte d'Arthur, and it studiously avoids fantasy RPG clichés in favor of its source material. This has caused it to become something of a cult game, even within the narrow confines of the RPG market. Adventures are often political, military, or spiritual in nature, rather than dungeon crawls, and are often presented as taking place congruently with events from Arthurian legend. An important part of the game is the time between adventures, during which player characters manage their estates, get married, age, and have children. Typically, the characters will have one adventure per year, and campaigns often carry over across generations, with players retiring their character and taking the role of that character's heir. This is quite different from most role-playing games, where one set of characters is played fairly intensively, and there is typically little consideration made of what happens to the family or descendants. The influence of this idea can be seen in the Ars Magica RPG, which also encourages stories taking years or decades to unfold. The default Pendragon setting is a pastiche of actual 5th and 6th century British history, high medieval history, and Arthurian legend. The political forces are roughly those actually present in sub-Roman Britain: Celts fighting Germanic, Irish, and Pictish invaders in the wake of the collapse of Roman authority. Technology and many aspects of culture, however, progress in an accelerated fashion, such that King Arthur's Britain is depicted as thoroughly feudal. Knights bear unique coats of arms, joust in tournaments, follow chivalric customs, and pursue courtly love. In effect, many trappings of the milieu in which the Arthurian romances were composed are projected backwards. Many of the campaign events and personalities come from the great mass of Arthurian literature composed from the Middle Ages to the 20th century. That being said, it is also possible to run a Pendragon campaign set firmly in the Dark Ages or in a more fantastic vision of Arthurian Britain. System. The rules system of Pendragon is most notable for its system of personality traits and passions that both control and represent the character's behavior. Otherwise, it uses fairly traditional game mechanics for normal play, based to some degree on the basic role-playing system, but also has a set of charts and tables for determining what happens to a character's family in between adventures. The character's ability scores are based on BRP standard, but skills are resolved using D20, rather than D100. Personal traits. These are 13 opposing values that represent a character's personality. The traits are chaste, lustful, energetic, lazy, forgiving, vengeful, generous, selfish, honest, deceitful, just, arbitrary, merciful, cruel, modest, proud, pious, worldly, prudent, reckless, temperate, indulgent, trusting, suspicious, and valorous, cowardly. The values on the left side are virtues and the values on the right are vices. The traits are 1 to 20 points split between the opposing values. For every point above 10 on a virtue, a point must be placed below 10 on another virtue. Characters start during character creation with a base of 15/5 in valorous, cowardly, a base of 13/7 in the religious virtues and a base score of 10/10 in the remaining values. A d20 roll is made to use a virtue or resist a vice. If the roll is at or below the value, it succeeds and the desired result occurs. If the roll exceeds the value, it is a failure and the opposite result occurs. If a virtue or vice is rated at 20, the opposite is rated at 0. Any roll on this trait is automatically successful or automatically unsuccessful. This is congruent with Arthurian legend, in which a hero's weaknesses are his downfall or a villain has a moment of nobility. The chivalric virtues are energetic, generous, forgiving, just, modest, temperate, and valorous. Characters possessing point values in these 7 virtues totaling above 80 are granted a bonus to chivalry rolls. The chivalric vices are lazy, selfish, vengeful, arbitrary, cruel, proud, and cowardly. Characters possessing point values in these 7 vices totaling above 80 suffer a penalty to chivalry rolls. The Christian religious virtues are chaste, forgiving, merciful, modest, and temperate. Christian characters possessing one or more of these traits at a value of 16+ gain a religious bonus. The romantic virtues are forgiving, generous, honest, just, merciful, and trusting. Characters possessing point values in these 6 virtues totaling above 65 are granted a bonus to romance rolls. Later on, other cultures were added for players who wanted to play a non-Christian character. The heathen religious virtues are vengeful, honest, arbitrary, proud, and worldly. This covers Saracens and Picts. The pagan religious virtues are lustful, energetic, generous, honest, and proud. This covers British and Welsh pagans. The Wotanic religious virtues are generous, honest, proud, worldly, reckless, and indulgent. This covers Germanic and Scandinavian pagan characters. Passions are higher values that influence a character's behavior. They are scored by rolling 2d6 plus 6 or 3d6 and adding or subtracting various modifiers. Passions roll on a d20, just like traits. If a character fails a passions roll, he goes into a state of melancholy for violating his core belief. A critical failure or failed attempt to recover from melancholy can lead to madness, which forces the character to go into retirement until such time as he can redeem his actions or be forgiven by those he wronged. Loyalty is a sense of duty to obey a liege, ally, or friend. Love is a feeling of affection for another person or people that the character has strong emotional ties to. Love and affection for family members is common for daughters and firstborn sons. Hospitality is the courtesy of providing shelter, lodging, and protection towards a guest. Honor is a sense of duty towards following the rules of proper and noble behavior. Later editions added new passions. Amour is romantic love for a person, replacing love for a lover. Hate is the obsessive dislike for a person, nation, or race. A character's passion is often used to create dissonance and conflict. An example would be a loyal knight faithfully obeying a cruel order from his unjust liege. Another would be an inhospitable host giving protection to a rude and discourteous guest. magic and magic uses. Only the 4th edition of Pendragon included mechanics for magic and magician characters. All other versions of the game, including the later 5th edition, assumed that the character was a knight or lady and restricted magic to game master-controlled characters. Character generation. The 1st through 4th editions allowed random character generation of characters from a wide variety of cultures of Great Britain and Western Europe, which was expanded by later supplements. The 5th edition supports only point-based creation of young landholding knights from the default homeland of Salisbury, which was a preferred option in the 3rd and 4th editions as well. The supplement Book of Knights and Ladies, self-published by Greg Stafford in 2008, allows creation of more diverse characters for 5th edition. The regions of Logra, Cumbria, and Cambria profiled in the following 3 supplements were internal to Arthur's realm, and thus used standard character generation. Savage Mountains, Cambria. Welsh characters. Perilous Forest, Cumbria, describes the lands of Cumbria and Northumberland. Blood and Lust, Logra, loosely describes the lands of Lindsey, East Anglia, Middle Anglia, Mercia and Wessex and the Saxon shore of Essex, Sussex and Kent. Over its history, the game spawned a number of supplements dealing with areas within or beyond Arthurian Britain and creating characters outside the culture of the Celtic Britons. Pagan Shore Island, Irish character generation, including feudal Irish and 2 types of tribal Irish Celts, the Cruithne and Lochlanach. Beyond the Wall, Pictland, Pictish character generation. Land of Giants, Scandinavia and the Nordic areas of Britain during the era of Beowulf. Northman character generation. Saxons. The origins of Anglo-Saxon England, Jute, Angle, Frisian, Saxon and Amp. Frankish character generation. History. The 1st edition was a box set published by Chaosium in 1985, and was designed and written by Greg Stafford. Chaosium planned a 2nd edition, with minor changes to the rules, but this was never actually released. They released a 3rd edition, with rules revised by Stafford, as a single soft-bound book in 1990. The 4th edition, published by Chaosium in 1993 and reprinted by Green Knight Publishing in 1999, was also released as a soft-bound manual. The core rules remained consistent with the 3rd edition, but the book was expanded to include rules for player character magicians and for advanced character generation. Green Knight Publishing also released a cut-down version of the 4th edition aimed at beginning players. The Book of Knights. Original designer Greg Stafford produced a much streamlined 5th edition, which was published as a hardcover book by White Wolf in December 2005. The most notable supplement for this edition is the Great Pendragon Campaign, a massive hardcover scenario book which details events, adventures and characters from Uther Pendragon's reign in 485 through to the end of the Arthurian era. The earlier version of this supplement, the Pendragon Campaign, won the 1985 Origins Award for Best Role-Playing Supplement, and the Great Pendragon Campaign won the 2007 Diana Jones Award. Reception. Shannon Appelkline stated, King Arthur Pendragon could be lauded as a top RPG solely based upon the innovation it brought to the industry. Its concentration on epic storytelling and its traits mechanic were both notable and original when the game was released in 1985. However, even today, Pendragon remains vital. It provides a picture-perfect model of literary knighthood and, through its well-crafted and well-considered design, effortlessly conjures its theme, so successfully, in fact, that few other publishers in the last 20 years have even tried to bring another Arthurian role-playing game to market. You just can't improve on perfection. Pendragon Fiction Line. The Pendragon Fiction series was a trade paperback line that offered reprints of lost classics of Arthurian fiction, as well as original novels and anthologies. First published by Chaosium, the line was taken over by Green Knight Publishing when they acquired rights to the Pendragon role-playing game in 1998. Scholar Raymond H. Thompson served as consulting editor for the entire series. Green Knight hired James Loder to direct the line as executive editor in 1999. Car. Phyllis Ann. The Arthurian Companion. Green Knight Pub. ISBN 9780739421635. Hunter, Jim. Percival and the Presence of God. Green Knight Publishing. ISBN 9781928999140. Frankland, Edward. Arthur, the Bear of Britain. Green Knight Publishing. ISBN 9781928999157. To the Chapel Perilous by Naomi Mishison. Reprint of the 1955 Allen and Amp Unwin edition. Kinsmen of the Grail by Dorothy James Roberts. Reprint of the 1963 Little, Brown and Company edition. The Life of Sir Glovale by Clements Houseman. Reprint of the 1905 Methuen and Amp Co. Limited edition. The Doom of Camelot, edited by James Loder. Original anthology. Exiled from Camelot by Cherith Baldry. Original novel. The Arthurian Companion, 2nd edition, by Phyllis Ann Carr. Expanded and corrected edition of Pendragon Series 6200. The Pagan King, by Edson Marshall. Reprint of the 1959 Doubleday and Amp Co. edition. The Merriest Night, The Collected Arthurian Tales of Theodore Goodrich Roberts, edited by Mike Ashley. Original collection of Roberts' stories, including previously unpublished material. Legends of the Pendragon, edited by James Loder. Original anthology. The Follies of Sir Harold, by Phyllis Ann Carr. Original novel. Faraday, W. Barnard. Pendragon. Green Knight Publishing. ISBN 9781928992994. One additional title in the series, a reprint of William Henry Babcock's 1898 novel Cian of the Chariots, was announced for 2002, but has not seen print.